Okay, can everybody please rise for the flag salute? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the meeting to order. Route of egress. In the event of an emergency, all people may exit right or left from this room and proceed to an exit door. All doors will open from the inside. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Haledon Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published in the North Jersey Record Herald News, the board's official newspaper, on January 15th, 2025. Notices of this meeting indicating date, time, and place were posted publicly on the door of the main entrance to the school and filed with the clerk in the municipality of Haledon. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Turner? Mr. Coletta? Ms. Quadrado?
Here.
Mr. Grossman? Mrs. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Martinez? Mr. Maxwell?
Here.
Mr. Ramadan? Mrs. Issa?
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, so I am going to turn it over to Mr. Waka for the presentation.
So it's always awesome to have a crowd here at our board meeting, especially when we have so many amazing students here. And the reason we have this crowd is because we're honoring two amazing people that help us and help all the kids at Haledon Public School. The first is our New Jersey Governor's Educator of the Year, Ms. Masiosi. By the time that I'd arrived here at Haledon, she was already an established and highly respected amongst her staff. She not only became a jack of a whole lot of trades, but she became a master of a whole lot of trades within our operation, whether it be special education, in-class support, or basic skills. Her attitude's always been both optimistic and infectious amongst her staff, and we're just been blessed to have her for as long as she's wanted to work for Haledon, and we hope she wants to work for Haledon for a very long time. So, Ms. Isa, here's our certificate for Ms. Masiosi.
Okay, Ms. Masiosi, if you'd like to come forward, I can present you with your certificate.
And if you want to give a couple words after Ms. Masiosi, we'd love to hear it.
Oops. Uh-oh, I think it fell out.
No way, did I do that? I hope I did not do that. It fell out.
Maybe it's in that one?
Yep, we found
okay.
it.
All right.
Oh, thank you so much, Ashley. Thank you. Thank you.
If you'd like to say a few words.
You don't mind if I have got my students come up here with me?
It's your award.
Okay. You stand up with me? Yeah? I know. Okay, so I'm truly honored and humbled to stand before you tonight to receive this award. To recognize in this way among so many dedicated, talented, and passionate educators is something I will always remember. First and foremost, I want to thank my students. Their curiosity, resilience, and growth inspire me every single day. Each one of them brings something unique into the classroom, and teaching them has been the greatest privilege. The HPS staff, administration, and the Board of Education members, I thank you. I know there are countless educators deserving of this honor, and I'm deeply grateful that you chose me. To my fellow teachers and colleagues, you are a constant source of support and inspiration. I learn from you every day, and I'm proud to work alongside such an incredible team. Christina Caramana, who not only is my coworker, she is my best friend. We both know successful teaching is not a solo act, so whether we are striving or just surviving, you make me better, and I wholeheartedly share this with you. Finally, this award is a reminder of the responsibility we carry as educators to shape minds and build character. I accept it not only with gratitude, but with renewed commitment to keep learning, growing, and giving my best to every student who walks into my classroom. Let this be a reminder that what we do matters. Every encouraging word, every patient explanation, every moment we choose to listen instead of lecture, it all matters. This award isn't about me. It's about every student who needed someone to believe in them and every teacher who answered that call. I'm deeply honored and forever grateful. So thank you. Go anywhere you want without.
Thank you, Ms. Masiosi. We also have our Governor's Educational Service Provider of the Year Awards. I had met Ms. Villaruz a very long time ago when I still had hair and was thin. And I was interviewing for a student assistant counselor when I was an assistant principal at Manchester. And this candidate came in and she absolutely did a fantastic job at the interview. Subsequently, she did a fantastic job at Manchester, so much so that her passion was to be a guidance counselor. And even though I was in Manchester, Haledon definitely understood the value she possessed, and they hired her as a guidance counselor. She is the best guidance counselor, one of the best guidance counselors that I've worked with, especially at the middle school level. I think the service she provides is timely and it's skilled and it's dedicated and it's passionate, and our school would be less without her. So I want to say, Ms. Villaruz, we appreciate all you've done and congratulations on being this year's Educational Service Provider of the Year.
Okay. First and foremost, I want to thank all of the members of the Board of Education in dedicating your time and knowledge to help our students' academic careers and making Haledon a community that I am happy to be a part of. I am honored to receive the Educational Service Provider of the Year award. I'm grateful for those people who have made this recognition possible. I feel a lot of gratitude and fulfillment for my professional journey. Being a school counselor comes with its shares of highs and lows. There have been times where I've stayed past the final bell and moments of self-doubt that made me question my journey. But through it all, this path has taught me that I'm capable of overcoming even the toughest challenges and still showing up fully present for our students. 12 years ago, I started out as a student assistance coordinator who went between Manchester Regional High School and Haledon Public School. And then later I had the opportunity to have a more stable position at HPS as the middle school counselor. I can recall my first interview that started out my journey. And I remember one person in particular being there. And he continues to be my professional journey. He also feels that his pickleball skills are better than mine, Mr. Waka. So as he leads Haledon Public School alongside the rest of the administration team, I've truly valued the opportunity to collaborate with them and with our dedicated HPS staff to help create a meaningful and supportive learning environment. So as I continue to grow both professionally and personally, I often come back to a few questions that might even resonate with all of you. Question 1. Who do you show up for? Whether it's at work, at home, or in our community, who do you show up for each day? And question 2, just as important, how can you continue to grow and improve? How can I better serve our students, support my colleagues, and uplift each other every day, and care for myself? These reflections have helped me find purpose in my career, and I hope these questions can help you too. So as I stand here, I'm reminded that the work I do isn't just about one person. It's about the community coming together to educate the next generations to come. I am thankful for this award. I've always shown up to Haledon with attention and compassion, and I will continue to do so with the same heartfelt dedication. Thank you.
I'm going to do like a 5-minute break so that you all can take pictures. But before I do that, I just want to congratulate both Ms. Masiosi and Ms. Villaruz on this important recognition. You both have contributed tremendously in your respective areas of special education and guidance, but most importantly, just being there for the students and helping them grow and learn and feel cared for. So thank you for that, and keep going. If any other board members would like to say anything before we take a little break.
Thank you for everything that you do. I appreciate it.
Okay, so we do have to do a motion to take a 5-minute break. So can somebody make a motion?
Motion to.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Martinez, second by Ms. Johnson. Do we have to do a roll call?
All in favor is fine.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so let's do a 5-minute break, so take some pictures, and then we'll.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Martinez, seconded by Mr. Motzko. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, folks, you're welcome to stay. We're gonna continue on with the meeting, so you're welcome to stay, but we won't take it personally if you want to move on. All right. Yeah, and if we could have some, if you want to continue your conversations, please go right ahead, but if you just ask that you move out to the hallway.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay, so next on the agenda is our board goals. So before we vote on the board goals, I just want to give a little bit of background. Let's see here. Sorry, I have it here. I know I have it here. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter. I can just read them and then we'll just, and if anyone has any questions, really, I just wanted to see if anybody had any questions before we voted on them. So,
Aren't these from last year?
there is one new one. So
One being like the attendance.
I'm gonna read it. I'm going to read it. All right.
You guys, bye. Thank you. See you tomorrow.
You know what, Mr. Walker, can you go ahead and do your report first, because I had
I'd
some
be happy to.
information here.
We'll
Yeah,
just get
please
down to
do.
it.
Are you gonna skip correspondence and approval? of
Yeah, then
minutes?
we'll just-
Okay.
Sure, I'll be happy to, and then we'll just go back and work.
Yeah.
So first thing is, Ms. Villaruz, in case you're wondering, cannot be named pickleball. The second thing is, I want to thank Board President Isa. I want to begin my report by once again thanking our Teacher of the Year, Ms. Masiosi, and Ms. Villaruz, our Ed Service Provider of the Year. And I also want to thank the entire team that looked through all the teachers that were nominated and selected 2 great candidates. I want to take a few moments to review certain aspects of this agenda. Under 9.6, you will see the adoption of an advanced mathematics program held in public. We were able to restructure the format of our middle school math program in order to allocate resources to add this particular class to our course offerings. Now, when I was a teacher at Passaic Tech, it was sort of easy to propose a new course offering because there must have been over 50 people, English teachers in my department. For smaller districts and high school districts, we see that most of the time districts look to offer or add course offerings. They often come in the form of pre-prescribed things like an AP test, an AP course, or an honors course. At the middle school level, especially at the middle school level for a district our size, it's a bit harder to look to expand course offerings we provide for students simply because of logistics. That's why I'm very proud that our scheduling team and our math coach and our administrative team was able to allocate resources so that we can now begin providing advanced math options for students in 7th grade. I know this begs the question, what will happen when the students get to grade 8? That's a great question, and the answer will be, We'll look to offer a similar program for 8th graders the following school year, provided that we see the sort of value in this program that we envisioned, and provided that we logistically could support such a program. Nonetheless, I think that this added course option is a boon for the district, and it's something we're proud of. We are also fortunate, of course, that Mr. Sposato is here with us tonight. He did a lot of the work helping set up some of the parameters and structures of this program. So if the board has questions, I'll answer it, but Mr. Sposato might be in a position to offer us even greater insight. Under personnel, you'll see a few different hires. We talked rather extensively about our budget. And we talked a whole lot about our reduction of over $800,000 in aid. And we talked about how it's a good thing that we were able to take this sort of hit financially and not look to lay off staff members. That's a big deal, considering that it seems that when you look in the newspaper every day, there's one district laying off 40 or another district laying off 100. One of the things that we've looked to do, or try our best to do when possible, is to reduce operational costs through what's known as breakage. Breakage refers to the difference in cost between a staff member that left the district and a staff member that was replaced to hire them. Overall, a sign of a healthy district is that most of the time you want to see breakage result in a negative number, as this will mean that the negative number represents the reduction in salary costs for the district. This is something that I actively factor in when I negotiate salaries with new staff members. And it's something I talk to Jen and Dave a lot when we're talking about staff negotiations. On this agenda, you will see that we have 2 staffing positions that are being filled. If the employees that had left had been here the next year, the total cost of their employment would have been about $170,300 before benefits. The cost of the teachers replacing them next year will be $140,330 before benefits. This represents a breakage of almost about $30,000 in savings for the district, and that's a very healthy number. And we're going to continue to look to gain breakage whenever the opportunity becomes available when hiring staff. When we negotiated the last contract with the HEA, we reviewed our salary matrix. Our salary matrix showed exactly what we would have wanted it to show. You don't want to have a district where the majority of employees are at the top of the salary guide, because being top heavy means that you'll be able to have less total teachers, because the teachers that you have just simply are more expensive. Additionally, you don't want to have a district whereby everyone is at the beginning steps of the salary guide, because this will mean that A, there must be a reason why they wouldn't stick around very long. B, teachers at the lower steps are often great, but they are by nature less experienced than their peers who've been doing the job for decades. And C, when you make an investment in staff training, you want to be able to see that investment reach fruition. If your staff members aren't staying with you very long, then all you're really doing is training staff with skills that are only going to benefit other students in other districts. Our staffing matrix shows that we have a rather even distribution of staff as compared to most other schools that I've worked with. We also don't see a whole lot of gaps, and we basically see what we want to see, which is a 45-degree angle in terms of where most staff members fall within that salary matrix. So that's my report tonight. And lastly, go Knicks. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Any questions for Mr. Walker?
2 questions. Basically 2 questions. With the I didn't hear the beginning of the math program set up, but how would we be allocating the money for that?
So it's going to be no additional cost to the district. Dave, do you want to talk to the board about how you can reallocate the resources?
Good evening. So what we're trying to do, and this is existed before COVID, we had a class like this many years ago before I was here. We're looking to bring it back. We don't need to pay for a curriculum or books. We already have those. We're essentially having one of our middle school math teachers would be teaching 1 class of advanced 7th grade math. This would benefit us in 2 ways. Number 1, we would take about 20 to 24 of our kids based on teacher recommendation grades, IXL, a series of benchmarks, and we would put them in this advanced class. That does 2 things. Number 1, it makes the other 7th grade math classes a little bit smaller, because the issue is we have certain students who their test scores are already exceeding expectations, And the math teachers can only differentiate so much when we have other kids in the class who need extra support and they have to, so it's hard for teachers to pace their classes. It's not the end of the world, but it's a problem we can solve. It costs us nothing. And it's going to benefit, number one, the extra help for the kids who are in the regular math classes will then hopefully increase their test scores. And then the kids who already are exceeding expectations only going to increase that much more. Some districts may have like level 1 or level 2 ELA and math classes. In a small school, it's really tough to do. It creates a lot of stress in the master schedule. So I think this solution definitely, it helps our master schedule, it helps our students, and it gives us an opportunity possibly for 8th grade, depending how it goes, open up an advanced math in 8th grade.
Before you ask, go ahead, Mr. Ramadan.
Jeez. The student ratio to the teacher, how many in the class?
Right now, ELA and math, because they're double blocks or double periods, are small. They're small classes. History, science, PE, some of the specials are going to be bigger. I don't have the exact number of math off the top of my head. I was doing observations last week for ELA, 16, 17, some are as small as 12. Depends on the period, obviously. The goal is, like I said, to take about 20 to 24 of the advanced students out, put them in this advanced math class, and then make everything else a little bit smaller.
And I had a question. So you mentioned that there was a class like this before COVID, and I remember that, but if I remember correctly, the students went to Manchester. Is that right? They were
So
taken there, right?
years ago, when I was working at Manchester as a school counselor, I remember they used to come from, I'm not sure if it was Prospect Park 2, but they would definitely come from Haledon, and they came for Algebra 1, and they came for, I believe, it was French or Spanish. Yeah, it was in 2 periods.
Okay.
I'm not sure if this was something else, but I know when I was speaking to some of the math teachers, and Ms. Ramos, who's fantastic, she was mentioning that I believe something of this nature, when I'm talking about this proposal, existed in years past, but I can't speak to that because I was.
So this would definitely be here.
The
with our
problem that we
teacher.
had with, when I was in Manchester, Dave will attest to this, is that sometimes just getting from Haledon to Manchester at 9 in the morning is a rather arduous task with all the traffic. And what we found in Manchester when I was there, a lot of times we have the Haledon students kind of waiting for their bus to pick them up. And we really wouldn't have any to supervise because our teacher would have to teach a class the very next period, so that became a burden. And then the transportation time took time away from the Haledon's kids getting back to period 3. If we could do this in-house, we thought it was a good idea. And I think that with the more advanced students, what we do is we look to kind of load our English and our math classes because they're the tested classes. We want to get them to be the smallest ratio of class size, whereas a history class, for as much as history is important, it's not a tested subject. So you might have, upwards of 25 to 30 kids in a class like that. And there's a reason that we do that. I think that if you had an advanced class of students, and if you had a class size of 24, 25, or 26, like David mentioned, these are the students that are more likely to be intrinsically motivated, whereas I don't think the larger class size for those particular kids would be as adverse as it would be for everyone else.
I think it's a great program.
Yes.
Super excited about it. Go ahead,
It's
Mr.
gonna be,
Ramadan.
in fact, a great one. Is there also, since most of the math classes require a student to be at a specific level, is there requirements for this also, or just we're putting it?
Well, part of the rubric is they have to be already meeting or exceeding expectations on test scores and IXLs, but the goal is to get them from, level 3 or 4 meeting to now exceeding level 5. That's the goal. They're already good. Our goal is to make them great.
Yeah, so the highest score you get on the test is a 5. So Dave's saying we want to target the kids that are scoring 3s and 4s and then get them in this program. So we have a handful of 5s. If we can get more than a handful, that's
It really helps us on the state award.
It's also going to contribute to the state also testing as well.
I think so.
I may have missed this when you were describing it, but is it going to start, are you going to be looking at the end of this year so that they can start right in September?
Yes, we want to build into the master schedule starting September 1st.
Okay.
So we're asking this board to approve, any course has to have its own curriculum, so we're asking the board to approve the curriculum so we can move forward.
Because we can't pass out permission slips and go ahead with the final, scheduling until we.
I'd like to add a comment too. Like I was reviewing the curriculum yesterday and I was so excited because I recently did like math in college. And I'm like, wow, this is somewhat what I'm doing. So it's really gonna prepare them for those days when they get to that.
Thanks for saying it, because I know, Mr. Roman did our math coach, she did a really good job putting a lot of work into this, so I'll let her know that. I'm sure she'll be very happy to hear that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions about the math, the advanced math class? Thank you so much. Did you have another question? Mr.
Yes,
Malcolm?
with the replacing of employees, you said it's 170,000 with benefits, right?
No, without I don't know what the two employees that left, I don't know for sure what their family situation is. I don't know if they had the family benefit plan or the single or the married, I don't know.
All right, so, and then with the way you're replacing it, it's 140,000.
Yeah, so if
And
you
that's
add up,
without benefits.
both are with both totals I gave you were pre-benefit, right?
Mhm.
So if you add up the salaries of the two people that are on the agenda tonight for full-time teaching positions, there's about a $30,000 net reduction from where they were before. The two, as if those staff members had stayed and got their 3% raise.
Mr. Walker, when we budgeted for this, when you say it's about 100 employee roughly, is this starting the teacher out as, let's say for the sake of the argument, stage 1, 2, and 3?
So that's a great
or something like
question.
that?
So, what I look to do is see how many years of experience they have and where the market's at. Like a middle school science teacher, that's gonna be the hardest thing for me to get. I think it's fair to say, or maybe a special education math teacher. So the market's gonna be different from there. Then, we love our kindergarten teachers, but the market for a kindergarten teacher is much different. So when you see certain positions on an agenda that are lower, it's more likely because that's where I had a whole lot more candidates to kind of screen and go for, and the market was less. But certain special ed positions, the market's always going to be super high for them.
All right, and this is which agenda item is this?
No, this is Mr. Walker's report.
Okay.
But it should be wherever personnel, or right? I would imagine. There should be two. There should be a science and a.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw the science one. I saw the
And
science.
8.14.
8.14,
Yeah.
Okay. thank you.
The ELA teacher.
Let's see it, and then,
You were questioning 8.2.
8.2 and 8.14 are both, they're both new staff members, yeah, right?
yeah,
That's my report.
Okay,
okay.
any
thank
other
you.
questions for Mr. Walker? Okay, all right, so going back to the board reports, and you can see I get lost without my notes, but what I really wanted to just do was talk a little bit about the recommended action steps for the new board goal. So we're continuing with the first two goals: increase commissioner attendance at board and committee meetings, and prioritize dynamic and creative approaches to board professional development, which will foster teamwork and increase commissioners' knowledge. We're going to continue those. The new goal that we added was schedule updates on district goals in order to maintain consistent tracking and accountability. So, after our discussions at the retreat, we felt that it was important to give attention to our strategic plan. That's what drives, that's what drives the district. That's what drives Mr. Waka's initiatives. When we're doing his evaluation, we're looking at that strategic plan, and we should be considering that too when we're thinking about our own goals, our board goals. So we decided to add that one in. And there were some recommended action steps that will just kind of help us move this new goal along. They were in the report, but I'll just go over them really quickly. Schedule 3 formal updates per school year. And these are just suggestions. We could do it twice, but 3 is not a bad idea: fall, winter, spring, during board meetings. And then Mr. Waka would give us a report, which would, so there's a couple of things that Mr. Waka is going to do, and there's a couple of things that we are going to do as a board. He would give us a report that would include some metrics and implementation challenges. So based on that, we can discuss recommendations. The strategic plan is a 5-year plan. It's set, it's signed and sealed, 2 years ago. But we can recommend perhaps, how to adjust to help achieve those goals. And then, lastly, this would be something really for Mr. Walker to publicize updates to the community members. Any updates that were to be made to the strategic plan, especially in terms of like action steps, to communicate that to the community via the web, all the ways that we communicate with the community, website, social media, newsletter, however. So that was the thought behind, that third new goal. But these are our goals. So, does anybody have, before we vote on them, does anybody have any questions?
I just have like increased commissioner attendance. I mean, is that really a goal?
Yes, it is. And
Should
it's,
it be?
yeah,
I mean, we're elected officials, we should be here. I mean, that shouldn't be a part of it.
it shouldn't be, but we need accountability. So, and one
And
of
this is like 2 years in a row? This is 2 years in a row, the
Yep.
same thing?
yes. So, if you remember in January, I gave some stats on the attendance of board members over the past year. So it's really been a year and a half because we established that after we did our first board retreat which was in June. So it's been like a year and a half that we've had this goal. And, the stats were okay, but they could be better. They really could. And if it's a goal, we're gonna be paying it, we're gonna pay attention to it. We're gonna be accountable for it. So, yeah, it shouldn't be a goal, but it is because we need to be accountable for it and we need to be watching it. So, and it's not, and as I've said this many times, it's not to be punitive. It's not to be like, well, you're not here, so, this is gonna happen. It's not about that. The reason why we want everyone to be here is because when you're here, we can work as a team. We can work better together. We discuss more, we hash things out more. But you gotta be here to do that. So that's why, it was important enough to make it a goal, and we're gonna keep it on so that we can keep watching and see, how we do. So I did that checking with the stats, I did that like in January, so in June, or maybe like after all the craziness of June, like July, I can do another check-in and we can, see how we're doing. Now, granted, we have some different board members, so that's a factor. We have to think about that too. But we'll check in again in July and see how we're doing. And hope, I hope that we, will have made some progress. And again, understanding that people are busy, they work, they have families, they have commitments, of course, but that's why this is a goal, just so that we really keep it top of mind to be here, and especially in person. That's always most effective when we're here in person. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so then let's vote. Can I have a motion to move the board goals?
Second.
Okay, so moved by Ms. Quadrado, seconded by Mr. Martinez. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna,
Yes.
Ms. Quadrado,
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Martinez,
Yes.
Mr. Matzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ramadan,
Yes.
and Mrs. Zissou.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So we have our new board goals for the year. Alrighty, moving on to correspondence. Can I have a motion to accept correspondence?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Mosco, seconded by Ms. Quadrado. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna,
Yes.
Ms. Quadrado,
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Martinez,
Yes.
Mr. Matzo.
Yes.
Mr. Ramadan,
I might have a question before if possible. On the letter of resignation here indicates that Ms. Frank, I think she's resigning a position and we're taking it back as a teacher. What prompted this move?
What's
I
a
think it's
substitute teacher?
Substitute teacher, yeah. So what prompted this?
I don't
move
wanna get too far, cause it's,
without-
I don't know what the rights law is with aides, but I do know that our district makes an effort to look to, when possible, not provide an employee an opportunity in an aide position to work more than 29.5 hours a week, because we don't want to pay benefits, because the benefits are very expensive. I believe that this change stemmed from a possible concern that if her old schedule was kept as is, we could ever that threshold in employee benefits, if you're in the family plan, that's like $30,000 or $40,000, maybe even more, right? So we look to avoid that when possible. And I believe that was the impetus of that change.
So this, well, I'm sorry, this will alter the hours as well, or the hours gonna be within the guidelines?
This will make it so it's below that 30.
Below the.
We want to be,
for benefits.
30 is the mark, but Lamika's rule, and Lamika's very firm with this rule, is hers is 29.5.
It's actually, that's federal law from Obamacare, it's 30.
Lamika's law is a little harder.
But you know, I think even though it may be less hours, but I think that going from an aftercare caregiver to a substitute teacher it seems to me like a move up. Because you have to be credentialed to be a substitute teacher, so that's a good thing. I think this is a positive thing for her, and I hope
And the
that.
employee elected to agree to this, so it's not like there was any, anything.
Right,
But it says in her resignation that she's willing to come back to aftercare.
Right.
Like, that's why it's confusing. I also felt that question.
She may be willing to, but we're only gonna hire her to the point of less than 29.5 hours per week.
And if being a sub, maybe she's encouraged to continue her education and get full certification, or that's great. So I think it's I liked when I saw that, because it seemed to me like some growth, like professional growth. So we wish her the best.
And definitely an employee of good standing, yeah.
Yeah, we wish her the very best and success on her career path.
Okay, yes. Yes.
Mrs. Issa?
Yes. Okay, so that was correspondence. Can I have a motion to accept prior minutes?
So moved.
I need a first, so I'll take yours, Mr. Martinez move, and Mr. Moscow seconded. Roll call, please.
Mr. Moscow, moved by Mr. Moscow, second.
And seconded by Mr. Martinez.
Mrs. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Quadrado?
I'm gonna abstain from prior minutes.
And Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Moscow?
Yes.
Mr. Ramadan?
Yes.
And Mrs. Issa?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, can I have a motion to open the floor to citizens on agenda items only?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Martinez, seconded by Mr. Motez. Roll call, or all in favor?
Right.
No, and I'm Mr. Motsko, I'm sorry, moved by Mr.
Yeah.
Motsko.
Mr. Ramadan.
And Mr. Ramadan, I'm confused.
I'm gonna let it go.
Okay, sorry, Yeah.
That's what it was.
okay. And then we can do all in favor, right?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the floor is open to anyone who would like to address the board on agenda items.
Anybody online?
Any hands, Mr. Miller? Okay, can I have a motion to close?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Moscow, seconded by Mr. Martinez. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so let's move on now to committee reports. And I will start with my report. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I want to start off with the board retreat that we held last week. Thank you to our NJSBA County Rep Kelly Mitchell for facilitating the retreat, and to the board members who participated. We had really good discussions. As you should have read in the summary report that was shared with the entire board, in addition to the board goals, we talked about some possible initiatives that we'll discuss more in depth during new and old business tonight. As discussed before voting on our 2025 board goals, we added one new board goal to replace the 2024 virtual attendance policy goal that has been completed. It's a good practice to have board goals that will keep us on track and always working to improve our performance, which in the end helps our district move forward, which is our ultimate goal. Secondly, I want to, for the record, congratulate our Teacher of the Year, Ms. Bettina Masiosi, and Educational Services Provider of the Year, Ms. Christine Villarus. I am sure that in their respective areas of special education and middle school guidance, they have made a positive impact on our students and the HPS community. It's always a pleasure to acknowledge the hard work and accomplishments of staff who go above and beyond. So we thank them both and congratulate them on this wonderful recognition. And not to take anything away from Ms. Masiosi and Ms. Villarus, but in recognition of the Teacher Appreciation Week that we recently passed, I want to acknowledge all of HPS's dedicated and hardworking teachers. In my opinion, they go above and beyond, all the time to make sure that our children have everything they need to learn and grow in a positive and nurturing environment. So we thank all of our teachers and administration and staff. I also, and I'll leave this in too for the record, I also want to congratulate Ms. Shahina Farouk, who has transitioned from the role of caregiver in our aftercare program to that of full-time substitute. It's always good to see professional growth within our staff. I'd like to give a shout out to Ms. Nascimento, the middle school music teacher, and the HPS orchestra and band. They don't always get a spotlight, but they work really hard. Their last performance of the school year, which took place earlier today, was in the form of an open rehearsal, and it was delightful and very spontaneous. It was fun, and they all, showcased the skills that they've been practicing all year long. And then, as we head into Memorial Day weekend, I just want to thank all of our school and community members who have served in the military, and remember especially all those who have fallen in the line of duty. Lastly, a reminder to all the school board members, if you have not yet, please complete the superintendent evaluation by May 30th. And that is my report. Any questions? Okay, so let's move on. Personnel and management, Mr. Martinez.
Agenda items only.
Okay, curriculum and technology, Mr. Ramadan.
Agenda items only, but special thanks to the people that contributed to the bringing the math curriculum, and also the equity, the comprehensive equity plan. Agenda items only.
Thank you. Policy and public relations, Mr. Martinez.
Agenda items only.
Security and safety, Ms. Johnson.
Agenda items only.
Community engagement, Ms. Quadrado.
First I want to say that I'm glad that we were able to bring both summer camps back this year. I know that's very helpful to parents, and agenda items only.
Yeah. And finance and physical plant, Mr. Motzko.
We met Monday, discussed billing, and it's on the agenda. Items.
Okay. Okay, state and county, Ms. Quadrado.
Okay. So the legislative was out on spring break, but they did return earlier in May, and they did approve a couple of new items. One of which I'm very excited for, because they're going to be reviewing chronic absenteeism, and that was supported by the NJSBA. There are a couple other things, like protecting student data that was approved, water safety, and IEP meeting guidelines, which is also great. Some of the things that are happening in our county on May 28th, we have the Passaic County SBA Hybrid Spring Celebration, which is also going to be celebrating the County Teacher of the Year. And the featured speaker will be Bernadette Orcida, which is a Spanish teacher from Manchester. They're also going to be holding the executive board elections during that meeting, which we have our very own George Guzman as a candidate for the first vice president. And then I also will be recognized for fulfilling my requirement for the new board member certification. Thank you. And, we also have a spring virtual conference coming up on May 30th at 9 a.m. That's virtual, so you guys can sign up for that. And there's also an AI conference, which will be held on 6/6 at the Mercer County Community Conference Center. I did also see that there is a new grant that's available called COPS School Violence Prevention. And it's a grant that's going to help schools fund school safety technologies such as access control, communication technologies, and cameras that as needed to secure buildings.
It is a two-step application and the first deadline is June 18th. So we might want to look into that. The second deadline is June 26th. What else? And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I do have a couple of, actually one item regarding county and state. So I attended the delegate assembly virtually on May 10th. And I just wanted to pass along the resolutions that were passed because I thought they were good resolutions and they were interesting. Just a quick summary. So the first one was presented by the Woodbury Board of Education. And they were encouraging promotion of student participation in interscholastic esports and the awarding of varsity letters by local boards. So that one, you know, people have an opportunity to speak in favor of it or speak against it. And everybody was very much in favor of this one. And they, you know, a couple of people said, and these are all board members who were there throughout the state. They said that they didn't think they wouldn't have been for that maybe like 10, 20 years ago, but they see what a great impact this has on students, you know, students who maybe aren't physically athletic, but they are really good at their video games and they're really into it and they're competitive and it gives them like a community, you know, and like they have a team. So I thought that was such a nice one and that passed, like very much, they were tallying the votes and that one passed, you know, by a long shot. The second one was presented by the Franklin Township Board of Education, and that was in order to address the nursing shortage, they were asking to modify the school nurse endorsement criteria by eliminating the bachelor's degree and specific New Jersey Department of Ed curriculum requirements and suggesting instead school-specific classes. So that one, there was a lot of people were contesting that. So, you know, there were people on both sides. People were saying that you don't really need the BA. There are plenty of nurses who are LPNs. They don't have they're not RNs. They don't have a bachelor's degree and they can do the job. They just need the specific training. And once you're in the job, you don't need that credential necessarily. And, you know, this was all with the mind of addressing the nursing shortage. But then there were some people who were against it. And actually, interestingly, a couple of those people were nurses. So I don't know if they feel like, well, we got a bachelor's degree, so you should get a bachelor's degree. But in any case, it passed narrowly. It narrowly passed. And then the third one was presented by the Kittanini Board of Education. And they proposed a resolution that would support the inclusion of excused absences for students taking necessary steps to enter the skilled trades. So, you know, they would be allowed like a limited number of excused absences for activities like, you know, internships or apprenticeships or even interviews, things like that. So, and that one was pretty unanimous. That one people were very much in favor of. So, and of course, there were some clarifying questions because people wanted to know, well, what's limited, how much is limited? But in the end, that one, everyone was pretty much in favor of that one. And I thought that was a good one too. So, and then lastly, they just elected the new NJSBA officers. So the new president is Tamisha Smith from the Knowlton Township. The vice president for county activities is Barry Walker from Bridgewater, Raritan. The vice president for finance is Dr. Tom Connors from Piscataway. The vice president for legislation and resolutions is Shanta Jackson from Neptune. And then the immediate past president is Karen Portolino. So it was a good you know, meeting, good delegate assembly. And I thought those resolutions were interesting. So I just wanted to share them. So we're going to go to Merlino and then we'll go back to you, Ms. Augustin. Mr. Merlino, do you have anything to report?
No report tonight.
Okay. And I apologize, Ms. Augustin. I'm so sorry. I skipped the business administrator report. Go right ahead.
Yeah, it's just a recap. My report is a recap of our finance committee meeting. We discussed the Security Vestibule Award that's on the agenda tonight. And we also did discuss the grant that Mrs. Quadrado spoke about. I did some initial looking into the grant and some of the details of the grant wouldn't favor us long term. So such as the grant does allow you to cover costs for the SRO, but it has to be, you have to have not had it in your budget, and you also, we can hire another SRO, but the grant will have to be filled out every year, or there's no telling that we will get the money again the next year. And then obviously there was some equipment that you can use, but those, we discussed the equipment that the grant does cover, and we don't think it's a good fit for HPS. So the finance team discussed that, so we did look at that, all right? And the other item we discussed were the award of the HVAC bid that's on the agenda tonight, and we were discuss the Central Pack Engineering was the lowest bidder, and we discussed how the bidding process work as far as the review by the attorney and when the attorney needs to be involved in the part. Specifically, we were speaking about the RFPs, which today was the day we did all of our RFPs today. So every hour we have the auditor, the architects, the security services, and legal services. Now that we received the proposals, I will go through them. We already looked at the prices, and we'll do a comparison, and then I'll discuss this with the finance team, and we'll go from there. Okay? And the other things we discussed is a few of the facility updates and the agenda items, and that was it.
Any questions for Ms. Augustin?
I just have one question. For the HVAC contract or the upgrades, is that for the school entirety or specific classrooms?
It's just selected classrooms. So we're going to have another HVAC for the rooftop over by the gym and some more classrooms. So I have the specific classroom numbers in my notes on my notes, but it is selected
I
classroom.
think this, I could be wrong, but I believe, so you know, like when you're in the second floor, there's like that kind of above the gym, there's those classes that don't have like a window because they're in the middle. Some of the classes and office there, we noticed that the air is, it could be hot in there and the airflow doesn't go as well as we want it to. And I believe also not the new pre-K wing, but probably the old one. I think that might be another area we're focusing on, but I don't know which one is which off the top of my head.
Yeah, there's a few classrooms that are being updated or upgraded because there was like the imbalance of heat and cold in those classrooms. Yeah. Unless there's more questions.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Ms. Augustin. Okay, so now let's go back to personnel and management. Mr. Martinez.
Uh, 8.1 through 8.15.
Can I have a second?
Second, but I have a question about 8.13.
Okay, so do you want to second it? And then you ask your question before
I'm
you
gonna
vote?
second it, and
Okay,
then I have. my
Okay,
question.
okay, so when we get to you. Okay, so moved by Mr. Martinez, seconded by Mr. Matsko. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna.
I have a few questions. I sent an email, didn't get a response, so I'm still waiting for it from Mr. Rock. There's a bunch of them that were forwarded to you by Ms. Augustine.
Is there a specific question you want me to answer?
Well, they're all in your email. Do you have them? I asked about 8.2, and they said that you are the only one that can answer these questions.
Or I'll answer any question you want.
Yeah, just
So-
ask, go ahead, ask your questions.
There's a few. Why is this-
We just go up to.
So like 8.7, 8.11, 8.13,
Yeah, so-
8.15, there's a lot. That's why I sent it earlier.
Well, 8.2, look, we need a middle school science teacher. Yeah, it's gonna be one of the harder things to find, so that's a big one. Trying to just. Maybe this answers Mr. Mox's question as well. Our aftercare has been running in the black since about 2018. The certified angels, they're the two programs we run that generate revenue for us, and they're well run. We have a staff member, the staff member in question under 8.13 has been a pillar of the community and a pillar of that particular program for a number of years. That program communicates with the 4C program to receive revenue because they're qualify for free aftercare services. They also give documents to show their justification for that, their staffing. There's employee hourly sheets. There's a lot of things that person would do. And when an organization's run as well as Mr. Trito's run it, and he says that for a limited amount of time, a valued employee can perform certain tasks from home, I'm gonna trust that. And that's why for a limited time, I approve that.
But what will she be able to approve from home in aftercare?
I'm going to assume that the purchasing, the supplies that they're going to need, the staffing they might need to do. I know Mr. Trita is left. I get you an exact report of what the specific duties are, but if
Don't say Mr. Torino takes care of that thing? I mean,
well, Miss Cherry runs the day-to-day.
Uh-huh.
Jeff oversees it the way I would oversee the operation of
Right.
Haledon, whereas I don't kind of run the day-to-day in the middle school or Miss Palizano's pre-K through second grade. I think that I think it's for the cost and for the fact that, if it was an organization or an operation that did not consistently earn money, then I would say, let's take a look into it. But if I'm going to trust my opinions that I get from staff, from Mr. Trita, when he says that this staff member can perform a certain amount of tasks or a requisite from home.
So, but I'm sorry, aftercare is essentially babysitting because we have working parents that are, right?
It's a service that we offer parents, which is a
Right,
huge
because-
benefit to the
Right.
school community.
So if she's home, how is she taking care of the kids here?
And she's running that overall program. Parents pay money each month for aftercare, so there's the accounting of that. There's taking the money, deposit checks. I don't know which ones she was doing from home, but I think it was the right move to say yes to this.
See if it was like a COVID time or something.
So it,
But if we start paying people from home, isn't that gonna start a trend with teachers, nurses, like, I don't feel like.
We could, well, and also I think the big factor of this is like, the key word here is maximum of 5 hours. It doesn't mean every day we're going to approve 5 hours. It means that, if Mr. Trito, in his best professional opinion, believes that there's 2 or 3 hours of work that's going to be done that particular day, that's what I trust to sign off on. I'm happy to share with you the exact sign-in sheets that we get from this employee. But it's going to be that's the maximum amount. It doesn't mean every day we're going to bill the full amount.
But we're trying to save money, right?
Yeah.
Trying to save money now.
And that's why there's a maximum.
We even took away our sandwiches.
well, but in fairness, if Miss Caselli isn't doing it, I just call her Miss Jerry, if she's not doing it, so it's gonna fall to somebody else, so somebody else has to do
You could
it.
say we could have a secretary do it, but I got one secretary who's awaiting fairly significant surgery and is not with us. I have another secretary who's out on a surgery as well. We only have 4 full-time secretaries and 1 part-time, and we're down 2. And things need to get done, and you could say it's a babysitting service, but to the parents who drop their kids off there, I think they would view it as a lot more than that. They would view it as, people taking care of my kids and offering me a service for a rate it's super duper economical. I doubt you're going to beat the price that we get, and a big part of the success of the program is this particular employee's been here for forever, and
I get that. That's understandable.
So I'll show you the time sheet. It's not going to be 5 hours every day, but it's up to 5 hours.
How much purchasing do we do for the aftercare?
But it also says the 4C paperwork,
Pay for it?
for a lot of the students,
A lot of the
No,
students
but I'm
get free.
Yeah.
saying, but I'm talking the salary.
No. What Miss Jerry is doing is the 4C paperwork, the record keeping, the tracking, the attendance. And I saw something else over here. So, and having somebody else do it is really just robbing Peter to pay Paul, because now you're gonna take away the time that they need to work on something else.
Mhm.
I mean,
But that happens.
like you
And
said,
I don't
we're
think,
down
we're not gonna
2,
land this
right?
plane at 2,400 total. We're gonna land this plane a lot less. I wanna put a number in this we won't be able to exceed, but if
I
Mr.
mean,
Trina,
but the program
when
still
Trina
goes
took
on,
over
right?
that program,
Yes,
it was losing money. He was losing significant money every year, and it was a drag on our overall budget.
She's expected to clear
He's turned it around, so I'm gonna trust him when he
Yeah.
says that this is something that's important for his organization.
She's back already, correct?
I believe today she comes back.
Oh,
So
okay.
she's
Then
back.
we don't-
It was just for for like a specific
Yeah, a couple of,
20 days.
Timeframe, what dates?
maybe late, I don't have it in front of me, late April to maybe
April
yesterday.
22nd to May 21st.
That's after she used up the 52 days.
Yeah, right.
If it was COVID time, I'd say, hey, listen.
Well, COVID time, everybody. was
Yeah,
doing it.
exactly, everybody was.
But we're also a
Except me,
school,
though.
but the idea that
That
like, it's gonna motivate other staff, like, we were the one school in the county that said, listen, we're open all the time, like, I think everyone here knows that, like, we were open more than anybody in COVID, so we're not looking to go to, remote options unless there's a really good reason, and I thought this was out.
And and I do want to just say that the aftercare is not babysitting. I think that's downplaying it a lot, and I think
No.
that's,
What
not being
people- what
fair.
parents actually need. It's, we are only open from 8 to 3. We have the extra time because people work. It's not
Yeah, I know, but
gathering.
just because it's open doesn't, and the parents need it, doesn't mean that it's babysitting. There's teachers who do aftercare, who work with the students on, on their homework, and there's very specific activities. I mean, I think it's unfair to say that that's babysitting, it's not.
8.13 is about someone who works here and is going to be at home and getting paid. It's not about babysitting.
I know, but I'm addressing the comment that I thought was a little insulting to,
It's not
to the,
insulting.
it is
It's not
insulting. It's not
Not at all.
babysitting. It's not babysitting, and it's insulting to
Not
the
at all.
staff who do that service, who provide that
Regardless,
service.
that's my answer to the question.
Okay, all right,
No,
so,
thank you.
okay, so, okay. Do you have more questions, or are you going to vote?
8.13, no, everything else does.
I didn't go roll call yet. I didn't call him. I think
Yeah,
roll
you should
call. I
do it.
got lost in the whole conversation, okay. All right, so yes to everything except 8.13.
Wow.
Okay, Ms. Quadrado.
I have a question on 8.5, the chaperones, more on the trip itself. It says it's a trip to Winning House field trip. What grade is that for?
So I think, Dave, which house won this year?
Pythagoras.
The Pythagoras won this year, so I guess the house that wins, we let them, where do they go, the jump house or the air thing?
Dave and Buster's, I believe.
Dave and Buster's,
Grade 6, 7, 8.
so this is the reward, because the house system's gonna reward you for good grades, good attendance, doing well in the house events, getting caught doing random acts of kindness, so this is the reward that they chose.
Okay, thank you. And yes to everything.
Mrs. Johnson.
No to 8.13, yes to everything else.
Mr. Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. Matzo.
Yes, no to 8.13.
Mr. Ramadan.
On the court, two questions if possible, please. 8.6 to 8.9, with all that sick leave, the family leave, the medical leave, how is that gonna impact, or what's the impact on our students since we're looking at quite a few people within specific time frame, which is
So
almost the same at this point?
everything's gonna be different, but I think we're lucky that we have 2 first-year assistant principals that are here tonight. They're excellent. And then they're very good at, amending and adapting where staff members are throughout the day. Ideally, we'd want to be in a position where I could tell a staff member, hey, you're gonna teach this class in September and you're gonna teach it all the way through. But when you're an organization this size, and it's very difficult to get subs, and we have to be creative. So we're gonna be okay. We're gonna get through it. This is like not, when you operate a school like this size, you're gonna get things like this every year for as long as we've been here. But we've seen the test scores go up the last 2 years, so I think we're gonna be okay.
And the second question, can most of these employee qualify for short-term disability
I don't know.
based on the
They will
time?
have to buy into it on their own. We don't, any public employee, we don't offer disability. They will have to buy Affleck or whatever credential on their own. We don't actually do. That's what the 6 times. Yeah.
No, yeah.
Short public employees.
Okay. Then, I vote yes on all except 8.13.
And Mrs. Isser.
Yes. Okay, curriculum and technology, Mr. Ramadan.
Actually, motion to move.
So move.
No.
Wait, let him do the
Sorry.
agenda items.
Motion to move 9.1 to 9.6.
Second.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Ramadan, seconded by Mr. Matzko. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna,
Yes.
Ms. Quadrado,
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson,
Abstain from 9.1, yes.
Mr. Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. Matzo,
Yes,
you don't have to explain to anything?
not on that one.
Okay. Mr. Ramadan,
Yes.
Mrs. Issa.
Yes. Okay, moving down to community engagement, Ms. Quadrado.
I'd like to move 12.1 and 12.2.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Quadrado, seconded by Mr. Matzko. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna,
Yes.
Ms. Quadrado,
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Martinez,
Yes.
Mr. Matzo,
Yes,
Mr. Ramadan,
Verification on 12.1 with the summer program. This is a revenue generating or this is we're paying
This is
for?
summer camp. This is not the academic one that we offer. This is a camp for parents that decide to pay out of pocket because they want that service.
Yes.
Mrs. Issa.
Yes. Okay, let's go to, I think that's it, new and old business. I have a couple of things, but does
We
anybody?
did 13 yet?
We
we
didn't
have
do
the
finance.
finance,
Oh,
finance.
I'm sorry. Okay, finance, Mr.
All
Matzko.
right, 13.1 through 1334.
Have a second?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Matzko, seconded by Mr. Martinez. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna,
Again, I sent over questions that were not answered.
Well, you gotta send, Ms.
Yeah.
Serna, you gotta send it to me though.
It was forwarded to you.
Yeah, because you said, if you want a question to ask the chief school administrator, you gotta ask me. But if there,
I did ask him.
what particular things do you want the answer to? Now that you have me in front of you, you can ask me.
13.15. 13.18.
So you asked why, it's, the challenge started on the 19th and it's the 21st now, so you're
Right,
approving it
I see,
retroactive?
there's like a trend
Yeah.
with the agenda
So-
where we're approving
so-
something that's already after.
Yes, so I'm gonna answer your question. This is a challenge that costs the district nothing. It's a philanthropy organization for a student group. I could have said no, wait for the board meeting, but it worked best for the date for the group if I could say yes. At a certain point, I have to look at, under my understanding of the board, and then I can't imagine any board member would have a problem with a philanthropy organization, philanthropy, fundraising thing that's a cereal box that it's not gonna cost the board a dime, because I know that's something that the board members has been very interested in. So I made the executive decision to approve the cereal box challenge 2 days early.
Hey, I don't think we have a problem with the fundraiser. Does anybody have a problem with fundraiser being done in the school? Absolutely not. I think that the continuous, that's gonna approval afterwards, after it's already been done.
Yeah, so this came to,
pay
this
some
came
of
to me
the-
late
some of
and
the
I had to
things.
make a decision.
So, I think we should try to work on that. That should be one of the goals.
I agree with that.
And your vote?
I still wanted to ask questions about 13.18. Which was, who will be alerted besides the SRO? And will the sensors be at full capacity when they are installed by, for example, these detectors are supposed to pick up a lot of the stuff, which is not, but the THC, air quality, environmental monitoring, chemical detection, privacy area security, keyword alerting, gunshot detection, aggression, and loud disturbances. So my question is who's going to be alerted? The SRO sometimes is at the academy, so she's not here. So who gets to replace her? And are the detectives going to be at full capacity?
So I know that whenever SRO is not here, the held-in chief delegates someone to come. We had Justin here the other day. Roosevelt has been here. There's a number of different officers they've sent, but they've never not sent an officer. we bought vape detectors because I wanted to detect vaping. Top of my head, I don't know if it's gonna detect gunshots, but I do know that what the vape detector is gonna do is if it detects whatever chemical it is that's inside vape that makes a vape detector go off, there's gonna be an alert that's gonna be sent through our Eastern Datacom security system to Mr. Spizzato, to Mr. Torito, and to SRO. And if I hope we don't ever get to this point, but if there's ever an instance of little kids, vaping in their areas, then guess what? Ms. Lozano will get an alert too. But those are the people that are gonna be, reporting. Will the police get a report every time the thing goes off? No, the police get a report when we investigate it and then determine if there's a reason for us to call the police or not. That's part of our memorandum of understanding that you voted for.
Mhm. So, but when my question is that the teachers not gonna be have access to this or get some type of alert?
No,
I mean,
because the
VPs
teachers
are over here.
The
what if it's
teachers
on
are
the other
gonna,
side
the
of the
teachers are gonna
school?
be teaching. And if there's a reason that we suspect that if the alarm goes off and Mr. Spizzato investigates it and determines that as a teacher, as an agent of the district, should know about what happened in the bathroom, then he'll make that decision. But the teacher's job is to teach.
Mr. Walker, I believe there's 6 strobe lights as well. So I think there is some silent flashing amber lights that go off as well.
You're right.
So I think the 6 go out throughout the building.
Well, throughout the bathroom, I guess, right?
I think it's outside the bathroom, the lights.
So when we get them installed, we'll know for sure.
So just understanding that, this alarm is technically just to ensure that our kids are not.
We want to make it so that if someone, there's fears that perhaps either vaping is happening to a degree in Haledon or it's going to rise just because they're teenagers. It was decided to use some of our CAP funding to get these vape detectors in certain bathrooms, not all bathrooms. It's not like the kindergarten bathroom is going to have a vape detector, right? But communal bathrooms will have it. And, if it goes off, the people that are responsible to investigate will get that alert. And then we'll follow all the other things we would have done, even if if we found the vape on or we heard someone was vaping, we don't have an alarm now, but we'd still investigate it and we've still disciplined it before.
So just understanding that vape monitor is also THC monitor?
I don't know.
We don't know.
Yes, it
I don't
is.
know.
It is.
It is. All the things that I listed is
Good.
what that does.
I just want to
That's
make
why
sure.
I asked if it's
Yeah.
gonna be used to the full capacity, because if not, then what's the point of it?
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, if the capacity allows us to detect, THC, then why would I want to say no to that, right? Like,
No, definitely.
And then based on what the findings are, then you would follow through with that. So if it was.
If
THC,
it
then
turns
you
out
would-
it's a THC, then we're gonna go through our SRO and we're gonna alert the parents and alert the local
Right,
authorities.
just follow the
They're gonna
protocol.
make a determination of what they want to do criminally or what they don't want to do criminally. But as a district, we're gonna follow our, there's a certain amount of days we suspend, and if there's THC, there's a certain amount of other things that we do, as far as the counseling.
Okay, Ms. Sterling, you did say yes. I have you down as saying yes?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Quadrado?
So I want to abstain from 13.3. Also going to abstain from purchase order 500431 from 1328. And also line 71180 from 1331. And yes, for the rest.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Matzo?
Yes, with abstaining from 13.28, not the whole thing, just PO 501-027 through 501-030 and 500-898. And my vote is yes.
Mr. Ramadan?
Yes.
Mrs. Issa?
Yes. All right, now we go to new and old business. Okay, does anybody have Anything for new or old business? Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. So about this time last year, Manchester had like an open house where the seventh graders went over there. And I know it's gonna happen again. Are we prepared for that? Like, I know last year there was an issue with like, permission slips.
Yeah, so that was the first thing we talked about at the cabinet meeting. It was like, I think it was even more than a year ago. There was a year where we just didn't get the permission slips, which is, we shouldn't have done. But that was, no one's getting on that bus without the permission slips at first. We were gonna use our bus, but I guess in order to maximize their exposure, they're coming by us with a bus, whatever date, Dave,
Tomorrow morning.
tomorrow morning. And those kids that have a signed permission slip get to go, and if they don't have a signed permission slip, then they can't go.
And then I had another thing, that I wanted to, I don't know, ask or offer. So I know that every year we do like the middle school open house. And I'm wondering if maybe this year or next year when it comes, maybe we can implement having more, like some of the high schools come and have like a table, like in the gym or something. Like almost like an open house with different schools, not only Tech or Manchester, but maybe inviting Eastern Christian, Don Bosco Prep, Mary Help, just so that the students know that there's other high schools out there. And I'll be more than willing to help with that if that is something you want to do.
Number one, I think it's a great idea because we're always wondering, like, what do we do with our gym during like the open house for the middle school? If that's something where, whether it's a straw poll or yay, nay, if the board wanted me to pursue that, I'd be happy to do so. I don't have a lot of contacts at the parochials just to lay that out there. So I'd most likely be cold calling or cold emailing. So if you have contacts that can get me to the front line, you might do it, right? But as far as the publics, I have very strong connections.
And maybe that's something that Ms. Villaruz could help with, as her role as middle school guidance counselor. But what open house are you referring to? Are you mean the
Like
back
the
to
back to
school
school night?
back to school?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I actually, I'd never considered that for a way to use the gym until you just brought it up, and I think it's a wise idea. I do.
And I like the idea of, letting parents know that there are other choices for high schools, it's not just Manchester and PCTI. There are other choices. There are charter schools which are free of, they're tuition free. There are private schools which,
But
do have tuition.
And again, but just so this board's prepared, like,
We
you
still
gotta
pay
understand,
for
like,
transportation.
if you gotta understand, like, if we, which I'm happy to do, invite Eastern Christian and DePaul and Don Bosco and St. Mary Help and whatever else is around, one of our local public senders, it might not be too happy about that. So the board has to just be prepared for, like, the idea of, like, listen, we are united in the vision of presenting as many options to our kids as possible. But I'm happy to do it.
Yeah.
Don't have kids at that event. I don't think that changes it for you. The kids aren't there to meet these people, so.
But I'm just
No,
telling
there's
that,
something else to think about.
Yeah.
Like,
So
you want the
my
kids
point is
to-
that this board has to understand that it's not all boards will be happy
Why
to,
would
we do
we
this.
wanna do something like that?
Well, I agree. I think I understand your point, but I think that parents should be able to know, and I know from personal experience that some parents don't, whether it's, it could be a language barrier or something, or they're not aware of all of the choices, and it's not, and understanding that some of the private schools, there's tuition on there, so, yeah, that's a factor, but they should still be aware of the choices, and I don't see the harm in, giving them information. So,
We didn't want to, like, we wanna keep our children here instead of going to.
at
private
HPS,
school.
this is
Right,
high
so why would
school.
we
Or
say
For
no?
Manchester.
for high school, like,
Oh, okay.
Right, I mean,
Want to keep them in the district.
we wanna
Right,
keep it
that's-
here at HPS, but as far as the high
Oh, I'm not for the
school
middle
goes,
schools, in no way.
as far as the high school goes, parents have a right to have the information,
it's like college scouting, you wanna know what
Yeah.
colleges, what schools have to
Yeah.
offer.
That's the same for us too.
And understanding that Manchester might be upset, and Miss Augustin is the BA for Manchester, so, I understand, but parents should have that information, Now, listen, whether we go so far as to have an open house with them here on the premises, maybe that's for further discussion, but I think it's a good idea, and ahead of that, giving parents information is never wrong. You know, that's never a bad idea. So, you know, they should have it. I think they have that information.
If, you know, we talked at the board retreat about empowering the committees, if the school relations, and Carlos Monk, I think he made that committee a couple of years ago. Perhaps that could be, but if the board gives me that directive, then I would go forward.
And of course, we would have Manchester here and
Yeah,
PCTI.
they could be the first ones, yeah.
Yeah, of course we would have them here. We would welcome
But I
them.
mean, in the sense of where, because I know if you go to a different high school, the district still gotta pay something, the transportation for the kids, right? So it's still the same district held it, right? I'm just saying, I mean.
No, it's not held in, well, it's Manchester.
Yeah,
It's
right, but it's.
HPS isn't.
It is held.
Yeah, it's held, yeah. So we still, it's all taxpayers, yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. So it's,
Exactly.
yeah, so it's like,
Charter schools and, I mean.
the charter schools are already competing, you know, so,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, okay.
Well, how about if it's like something for further discussion? I mean, maybe that's something, you know what, actually, Angelina, you are the chair of the community engagement.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something that you could, you know, meet with your committee about. And actually, you're due for a meeting, so that's something that, and I think there was something else that we talked about for that, but I don't remember. But in any case, that's something that you could meet with your committee on and talk about. You know, that would be actually a very appropriate topic. And then, you know, if it's decided, you know, that we don't do it or we vote on it and it gets voted down, well, you know, so be it. But you know,
Yeah.
it's, since you raised the topic.
Yeah, I mean, no harm to the district, but it's just some high schools offer a little bit more than others, and parents don't know that, you
Right.
know?
Right, and just in terms of empowering parents with information and choices, so. Okay, anything else? New or old business?
Oh, I do, I actually have one more question too, sorry. Mr. Walker, I just wanted to know, what is the protocol when there's a lice outbreak?
So, I kind of understand where you're coming from this. So someone had reported that they suspected there was a lice outbreak. Someone from the county Department of Health reached out to us. There's one classroom where there was 2 cases of nits, which are like the little egg things that they have. And then also in another class, there's a close relation between the students that are involved. The families that were affected were told what the particular style of the specialized shampoo, and the nurses are going to those classes to monitor.
Are the other parents aware though that there's an outbreak?
I don't
in the
believe we
classroom?
tell people unless we feel that there's a need. I imagine that the nurses didn't do it, there wasn't a need. But I know lice is like a real strong term. You know, Jen was a kindergarten teacher for a very long time. Like it happens probably more often than you think, and it's usually the nits that are the things that are seen. And it's at a point now where if you use the shampoo, you could, we've never really seen like it happen multiple times after you use the shampoo. So I wouldn't say we're an outbreak, but it's not atypical for a school our size with this population, with our children.
Can you guys just email the?
Then do you want to say,
classroom?
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
we've been going back and forth with Sandy, who is the nurse who oversees Passaic County, about all of this and making sure that we're following the correct rules, guidelines, and everything based on our schools. So we are definitely in compliance with everything that we're doing up to yesterday. The email chain was between Bar and Sandy, and it followed all of our policies, everything was attached. So we're doing exactly what our board policy states that we need to do.
Maybe we should update it, because this is the second time this year that someone's complaining about lice and
Well,
not being notified.
It update. Did you read if you read the most current update, that's based
That's
on
an update
whatever
based on state law.
whatever group is in charge of that, you know, whatever group of scientists or medical doctors study this is what they say, this is the most logical thing to do. I don't think people are getting the lice held in public, but it's based on the most current recommendations from the professionals. It hasn't been a staggering problem for us, and I know Ms. Bolzano, she oversees our health department. She does a really good job with that.
Do we email the whole classroom or just the person they sit next to?
I don't know what the protocol is, but I don't think we alert, I don't think an undue panic when there's very
Not
little
me,
risk of
just
spread.
in that
I don't know
class.
off the top of my head. I could find out exactly what we did, get back to this board tomorrow. I'll email the board exactly what we did.
I was just wondering like how we handle things like that.
Yes, that's all I have. Thank you.
Anybody else for new and old business? Okay, so I have two items for new and old business. The first one is that Christian Tejada is requesting again use of the HPS baseball field for practice for the Royals in the spring on Saturdays from 8 to 12, and then in the summer on weeknights after 6 p.m. So because this request was voted down initially, we have to, somebody would have to make a motion tonight. And then we could vote on it right now, or we can make a motion to table it. And then a committee would have to review it. So that would be the Community Engagement Committee. And then it would be put on the agenda for the next meeting. So,
Motion to move. Motion to
okay,
vote on it.
so we have a motion to move. The motion is to allow the to allow the Royals to use the HPS baseball field for practice Saturdays in the spring and summer on weeknights. So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Before we vote, the question is this again, are they paying to use this services or are they just using the facility that's? it?
Well, I believe if there's a custodian there, they won't.
Right
Okay, hold
now,
on.
we would, at minimum, we would demand to charge the price of the custodian that would come on Saturday morning. But this board could choose to charge more if they wish.
Well, see, the idea is, again, if they're gonna use any facilities, we wanna kind of, I know it could be minimal amounts, but at least revenue generating path at this point. So it's not just because, again, it could damage the field, we just fix.
It'll definitely take wear and tear, I agree.
Yeah.
If this board, there's, I think our policy recommends certain things, but we never had like the field. It's like Manchester, a lot of high schools where like it's common to rent out the field, like no one's really ever asked to rent out our baseball field before. So I think that, this board, if there's a price that's comfortable with the board, that's what we could say, this is what it's gonna cost. At the same time, to me, it could only be on a Saturday morning in spring, or on a Saturday, a Sunday, weeknights in summertime. Because other times there's just too many things going on in the field, or it's winter time and we don't want kids out there anyway. So that's my answer, I guess.
Well, see, I don't see any issues with, again, producing or generating an income for any of these, whether it's the gym, the fields, as long as we kind of capitalize on this. So at least we have some sort of an income that this particular facility is gonna generate, just it's not gonna hurt. Think about it, it's about a maintenance. It's all about maintenance.
So if this board wants to direct me to come up with a price, then I could present it to the board and they could come back to me with a yes, no, or maybe.
Wouldn't that be an entire policy though? Like going forward?
I think,
I think it's in there already.
Use of the
Like a
facility.
Jeff, do you have something to say?
Wait, what is Mr. Murphy?
I was gonna say, I believe like there is a charge, the fee is already in the policy. But like as Mr. Walker said, I believe it's just like the cost of a custodian and some maintenance like restoration or restorative on the fields. But that's already in policy.
Ms. Augustine,
Yes,
what's the fee?
I will review the policy and let you guys know, and if you wanna put it, Merlino, can we have a review of the policy, if they wanna do like a read or something, just to kind of have a committee look at it, so that they can come to an agreement, because I don't think we've been charging anything for anything lately, so if they wanna update the fees, if we can review the policy and see if there's any areas you want to add to the policy for rental, I think this is a good opportunity to do that.
And let me ask you, Mr. Augustine, since when it comes to Manchester,
Everything is charged.
thank you, that's the end of it. That's where it stands.
and I agree with you, Mr. Ramadan, but I think like if we start charging them, then we have to do it to the soccer team too.
We have to
And-
charge,
No,
we have to be
it's-
He's
it's all
consistent.
about-
saying
across the
across
board.
the board.
Yeah.
He's saying across
There's
the
no
board.
Yeah,
exceptions
We would
across the
have to
board.
be consistent, for
Exactly.
sure.
As
Yeah.
Ms. Augustine says, Manchester's charged for everything.
I'll charge whoever you direct me to.
So, I mean, I don't see, that doesn't make us.
So why don't you
exception.
start with
That's right.
reviewing the policy,
Right.
the use of
Okay.
facility policy and the fees? I think that will be the
But these
first
are two
start.
separate things. First, let's
Well,
address the Royals thing. I have a motion. Will somebody second that?
But why are we addressing, shouldn't we do this first? Get the, no?
Should be tabled.
Should we
No,
table-
because then we can table it and talk
Well, we're
about
saying we should-
fees.
That's what we're saying, we should table it now.
But that's, we're talking
so
about a
we-
policy.
A motion was put to the table. We
Okay.
have to decide whether we want to second it and move forward with this one.
Yes.
And then you can make a
Yes.
motion to table it.
Okay.
And then we'll review
Okay.
the
Okay, so
finance.
Is
Yeah.
there a
So I
second for
need a
this
second.
particular
I'll
motion?
second.
Okay,
So now we
okay.
have to vote on it since you're, second.
Right, well, we don't have to vote.
Or somebody can make a motion to table and then defer to a committee.
So if,
I motion to table.
okay, so I now
Second.
need a second. Okay, so first, the first motion was moved by Mr. Martinez and seconded by Ms. Quadrado
Yes,
to consider the Royals using the field, right?
yes.
Now, the second motion is to table that. So that was moved by, I'm sorry, I forgot who, that was moved by Ms. Quadrado and seconded by, who seconded that? Mr. Ramadan, okay. Now, within that, we're going to review the policies. So the finance committee, we don't have to make a motion, but the finance committee is going to,
Policy and finance, I guess, because the
Yeah.
policy committee will review the
Yeah.
policy.
Right.
Mhm.
but they can't be together because then they'll have a quorum. So the finance committee is gonna have to discuss what would be, what would be reasonable charges for the
Once-
facilities.
Once they discuss it and.
No, this is
slide
just
to
gonna be a
us.
general policy, aside from this Royals thing, this completely separate. Like a general, well, the policy
It is, but
committee is
no
gonna
one-
talk
You
about,
wanna review it, what if you wanna change, more details of it, or you can look at it and see how it matches up with other districts. That's what we did at Manchester. We looked at
Okay.
other high schools to see what they were charging.
Right.
So you guys wanna do a thorough look at it, just not go by what's there now, because
So
it really
what I-
hasn't been enforced.
What I would suggest is, putting out, some type of notice to the people that are using it now, which is Southside Soccer.
Well, we can do that in the new year, like,
Yeah,
once
so
you
whatever
review the
year.
policy, we're not gonna do it now, because
Yeah.
this is the established policy
Oh,
right
so then
now.
we're not gonna charge,
through the end of the
Not
school
in the
year.
June
No, they
30th.
already have something.
Through the end of the
That's
school
just
year.
Beginning of September.
Yeah,
Okay, so September.
July 1st.
So, okay,
July
so,
1st.
hold it, let's just make sure we're all on the same page. The
Right.
policy committee is going to meet, and you're gonna provide them with the policy, the
Yes,
current policy.
everyone.
Then the
Mhm.
policy committee will meet and review that policy in terms of charging people to use our facilities.
Mhm.
The finance committee is going to discuss what would be reasonable, what fees, what would be the fees for having anyone use our facility. So it would be the gym and the field and
Exactly.
the auditorium or whatever else. So that's, okay.
And
But then the community and engagement committee is going to meet, and they will meet and discuss this specific proposal, okay? But you're probably gonna have to, we'll need to know like what well, I guess we could just, if we make the motion, if we put it on the next agenda, we don't have to say specifically how much, but we would say whether we're gonna charge or not on the agenda.
So where do you wanna table it to when?
To the next,
Okay,
to the next,
agenda.
yeah.
Alright. But
Which
if
is
the
June 9th.
policy is not completely done,
Yeah.
then what is your recourse? What are you
Yeah,
gonna
then
do?
we have 2 weeks, right? What is that, 2 weeks? For them to meet. Let's say policy.
We can make a motion to table it to the following meeting.
Yeah, that's what I think they
So,
said.
so we can do, the policy and finance committee can meet before June 9th, and then table the Royals one to the next meeting, which is June 30th. So,
Mhm.
okay, and then that would
And
allow
then-
to work that out a little bit.
the policies then for like the finance and the policy, they would be effective July 1st, you're saying?
Well, you have to do a first read and a second read, and then whatever that happens.
Whatever you decide.
Yeah.
Thank
And then I guess the June 30th would be tentative, right? Because it will depend on whether,
Or you can do the first read, you have one meeting June 9th and another one, so do the
June
first
30th.
read June 9th, right?
Mm,
And then the second read
June
June 30th, so
30th.
it'll be effective July 1st.
Okay, so then June 30th, we could review the recommendation for the, or whatever that was gonna be put on the agenda regarding the Royals using the facility. Okay, okay, so we have a,
Are they
plan
using the
with it.
facilities now?
No, it was voted down. All right, okay, thank you. Okay, now the second one, and, the second new and old business, I just wanna go through, and I'll try to make this quick. The, recommended, actions that came out of our board retreat. So, they were good suggestions, we might not wanna do all of them, but whichever ones we do, it's not like something that's gonna happen in a year, you know, these are things that need to get worked on, you know, we could have ad hoc committees, actually, one of them, we already assigned a committee to it, but I don't know if you all had a chance to read the, summary report that Kelly Mitchell provided and that, I asked Lois to send to everybody. So the first, recommended outcome was establishing an onboarding program for new board members. So, and we had talked a little bit about that, Ms. Johnson, she had brought that up at, you know, one of the first meetings in January. I mean, it's a good idea, I think it would be helpful for new board members, and, you know, that's something that can definitely be, and Kelly, actually, based on our discussion, Kelly actually, like, you know, drafted some, action steps. So this would be, you know, an ad hoc committee, because we don't really have a standing committee that would deal with that. So this would be an ad hoc committee. So it would be at least 2 people, and, you know, 2 to 3 people could be on that ad hoc committee. So, does that jump out at anybody? Does anybody want to be on that ad hoc committee? Okay, Raph, I need one more.
I'll do it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Raph and Angelina. And, you know, maybe you want to wait until the summer when things slow down a little bit. You know, there's no like hard deadline on this. So maybe like after the June 30th meeting, maybe you can meet and, you know, talk about what that might, and that was great because you were both there. So you can talk about like what we talked about and what that might look like. You know, there are different ways that you could do like onboarding. So that's great. Thank you both. Okay. So, enhancement of the committee structure and function. So this was something that I was really interested in. And I think that we could leverage our committees more. And I think we're already doing that. And I think it's helpful. I think it's very helpful when the committees meet. They come to meetings more prepared and, you know, just the conversations that you have when you get together, a lot comes out of that. So, you know, I think that's a great suggestion, and I would like to be on that one. I'd be happy to be on that one. Would anybody else want to be on that one? And if nobody else wants to, I'm gonna pick somebody. Well, I'll think of it. You think about it. If anybody else wants to be on that committee structure one, and let me know. And you know, I'll come back to this at the next board meeting.
Explain the first one again. I'm sorry.
The first one was the establishing of an onboarding program for new board members. Yeah. And then this one is optimizing the committee operations and promote accountability and clarity in committee board work. Really just talking about how we could better leverage our committees. So, and then coming up with charges for, that was something that we talked about at the retreat, like the committee should really have a very specific charge. You know, sometimes you might be on a committee and not really know what they're supposed to do. So have a specific charge, you know, for each committee, and so that the committee members, especially new board members, really know what that committee is supposed to do. So that's the second one. The third one is a midterm public check-in on the strategic plan. So that was basically so we have a 5-year strategic plan. So like the mid-year point, kind of have a community, and really what that would be is like, you know, we could do like a community meeting, like a meeting, invite all the public and look at our strategic plan, look at our, the progress that we've made so far. I mean, this one is a little bit in line with the goal that we have, our new goal. So it would just really be a little piece of that, but, is anybody interested in that one? So this one, I'm gonna put a little pin on, because I do think we're gonna be doing some of this with our goal, but we could come back to this one, okay? And if anybody, looks it over after tonight and feels like they wanna be involved in that, just let me know. The fourth one, that's our goal, so that's not, we're doing that one, and that's everybody. And then the last one is actually, so the countywide data review for student achievement, that's one that the Curriculum and Technology Committee is going to do. We talked about this at our retreat, and we agreed, I think it was Mr. Coletta who suggested having some data to look at so that we can compare our data to it. So that falls right in line with the Curriculum and Technology Committee. So Mr. Motez and Mr. Ramadan, you're gonna work on that. So like I said, there's no hard deadlines for these. Let's have a check-in again, actually at the next board meeting, I can bring it up again. And we can, but think about this as like a long-term plan, and maybe have a plan to meet, as I mentioned to Ms. Quadrado, and Mr. Martinez, after the rush of the evaluation and all of that at the end of the school year, over the summer when, we don't have as many board meetings and things slow down, maybe that would be a good time to start working on these action items. Okay. Any questions on that? On any of those? Anything from the retreat?
It was a good
Okay.
time. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good retreat. We had, very good conversations. All right, so let's see. Let's go. Okay, so can I have a motion to open the floor to citizens on the operation of school?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Ms. Johnson, seconded by Mr. Martinez. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so is there anything from the floor? Anybody online? No?
Motion to close.
Okay, second. So motion to close, moved by Mr. Martinez, seconded by Ms. Quadrado, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. So we have an executive session. The first, we have student matter, and then we have the CSA contract discussion, part 2. So we'll do the student matter first, Mr. Walker?
Yeah, let's do that first, and
Yeah.
if the board allows, I'd like to keep Mr. Sposato in, because he'll be able to it's gonna be really quick, because it's a open and shut case, but he'll have the facts. Is that okay, Mr. Sposato?
Yeah.
And then we'll let him take over from there.
Okay, so, and then after that,
I'll leave.
you can go, and yeah. So no action will be taken. And I'm gonna say, just because we have 2 items, I'm gonna say half an hour. And it may not take that long.
Can you ask Mr. Merlino, is no action going to be taken on the residency student? I think there might be.
During,
Ask him during executive session.
You can ask them now so the public can know.
Okay, Mr. Merlino, will action be taken on the student matter?
No, it will not. Not in public.
Okay, so no action will be taken. It's gonna be, I'm gonna say half an hour. That's just an estimate. Okay, so can I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Motzko, seconded by Mr. Martinez, and we have to do roll call, right, Miss? Okay, so roll call, please.
Mrs. Serna?
Yes.
Ms. Quadrado?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Matzo?
Yes.
Mr. Ramadan?
Yes.
And Mrs. Issa?
Yes. Okay. Okay, so thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Mr. Motzko, seconded by Ms. Quadrado, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Please, if you haven't done your evaluation, please do it, and we'll see you on the 9th.